All right, let's get right into it. When you open up the Gospel of Matthew, you're not just stumbling into an old story. No, you are stepping into a brilliantly designed argument. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the deliberate literary choices Matthew makes right in his opening, so we can see exactly what he's trying to prove from the very first word.
And this right here is his entire point. This is the big idea of the whole book. You have to understand, every single thing Matthew writes, every story, every detail, it's all there to build his case for this one powerful claim. Jesus is the long-awaited Messiah, the true King of Israel.
So how does he kick off this massive argument? Well, with a genealogy. Yeah, a long list of names. And look, I know that can seem a little dry at first glance. But this is no dusty historical record. Think of it more like a puzzle or a blueprint that's intentionally designed to set the stage for everything to come. So the real question is, why start here? Okay, so let's decode this thing, because Matthew isn't just giving us a list of ancestors. He is laying out a profound historical and, more importantly, theological map that shows us exactly who Jesus is and where he fits into the grand story. You'll notice he breaks Israel's entire history into these huge, story-defining moments. It kicks off with Abraham, where the promise, the covenant, begins. Then it builds to King David, the absolute pinnacle of the kingdom. Then it plunges into the crisis of the Babylonian exile, a time of total loss. And finally, all of that history funnels down and culminates in one person, the Christ. He's tying Jesus to the highest highs and the lowest lows of his people's history. And this is where it gets really interesting, because it's not just about the names in the list. Matthew has hidden a mathematical pattern in plain sight. He's making a point not just with the people, but with the numbers themselves. He's showing us this incredible pattern. So from the patriarch Abraham all the way to the great King David, Matthew counts out 14 generations. Then from the peak of the kingdom with David, all the way down to the national disaster of the Babylonian exile, you guessed it, another 14 generations. And finally, from that dark moment of waiting in exile to the arrival of the Christ, it's a third perfect set of 14 generations. See the difference? On the surface, it could just look like a boring old list. But with this 14-14-14 structure, Matthew transforms it. It becomes this powerful symbolic argument. He's shouting that history isn't just one random thing after another. No, there's an order, a divine rhythm, a plan that's been unfolding all along, and it's all been pointing right here. But wait, there's more. In a list that would typically only name the fathers, Matthew does something really unexpected. He intentionally includes 4 women, Tamar, Rahab, Ruth, and Bathsheba, who he calls the wife of Uriah. And listen, each of their stories is complicated, full of scandal, or marks them as outsiders. Including them here is this massive hint for Matthew that God's plan often works in messy, unexpected ways, and that it has room for everyone. So after laying out this perfectly ordered, very human lineage, Matthew completely shifts gears. He pivots from the neat patterns of human history to something that shatters the pattern entirely, a miraculous birth that comes directly from God. And he tells this incredible story from a deeply human point of view, Joseph's. I mean, put yourself in his shoes. He's a good man, he's engaged to Mary, and suddenly he finds out she's pregnant. In his world, this is a crisis of epic proportions. What is he supposed to do? His first instinct is actually incredibly kind. He decides he'll just end the engagement quietly to spare her from public disgrace. But right then, everything changes. An angel shows up in a dream and puts a stop to his plan. And the angel's message is crystal clear. First, don't be afraid, marry her. Second, and this is the big one, this isn't what it looks like. This child is from the Holy Spirit. And third, he's told the child's name and his destiny. You will call him Jesus, which means Yahweh saves, because he is the one who will save his people from their sins. And right here, we see Matthew's favorite move. He's making it obvious that none of this is random. Just like the genealogy showed a divine pattern, this birth is happening as the direct fulfillment of a specific ancient prophecy. He immediately pulls a quote from the prophet Isaiah, directly connecting what's happening to Joseph and Mary with words spoken centuries before. For Matthew's readers, this would have been like a massive flashing sign saying, "Pay attention. The plan we've been waiting for is happening right now." And this leads us to the absolute peak of the whole introduction. Matthew doesn't just drop the prophecy and move on. He stops to translate the name Emmanuel. Why? Because it means God with us. The claim is just staggering. This child, this heir of David, is nothing less than the very presence of God himself, right here with us.
So let's put the two pieces together. When you look at the family tree and the birth story side by side, you can really see the incredible argument Matthew's building right from the start.
It's a brilliant one-two punch. First, the structured genealogy proves Jesus' human credentials. He is the legitimate, legal heir to King David's throne and to the promises God made to Abraham. He belongs. But then, the miraculous birth reveals his divine identity. He isn't just another king in the line. He is Emmanuel, God with us. And all of it is wrapped in prophetic fulfillment to show that this has been God's plan all along.
And that really leaves us with this final thought. Matthew doesn't start with a big miracle or a famous teaching. He starts with structure, with history, with prophecy. He is carefully building his case, piece by deliberate piece. So the question we're left with is this: what does this incredibly intentional design tell us about the kind of king he's about to introduce?